Okay, welcome everyone to our DES 105 page layout tools week 4 live session. I say this every mod. I really do, but I'm always like, man, how is it always already week 4? And, it kind of just creeps up on us each month, doesn't it? So again, we're in week 4. We've survived another mod. We're going into the holidays next mod, which I do want to just point out a couple of things. There's a good chance you're probably not going to have me next mod, but I kind of want to set you up for success for next mod. So we have our winter break next mod, which I mean, I'm ready for it. I'm sure you guys are ready for it. Everybody's ready to take those 2 weeks off. So it's going to be the first 2 weeks of class next mod. Then you'll have the break, then the following 2 weeks. But, going into next mod, I just want you guys to think of a couple of things, to really set yourself up for success. Try to have during week 2, because week 2 goes right into the holidays. Try to have your homework done by Friday. You technically have until the Saturday, but if you can get it done, by that Friday before the holiday, that will really help out your instructors because we still have to have our grades in on time. So a lot of us, we have holiday plans as well. So that would be super helpful. Also, if you find, next mod that you're running a little bit late on things, use those 2 weeks to catch yourself up as well. So just kind of set yourself up for success going into 2019, next mod. But let's focus in on week 4 of this mod and what it is that we need to do to finish out this class. So telephone hours this week. I'm going to be available mostly Monday through Wednesday of this week. I just have some things that I need to take care of on Thursday, and I usually take Friday off. So I just wanted to make you aware of that during our live session. You can still email me and everything. It just might take me a little bit longer on Thursday to get back to you. I have a couple of announcements to go over. We do have a discussion question this week, and then I'm going to go over the assignment for week 4. We have a week 4 assessment, which is actually going to be a final quiz, and then you do have your career integration quiz for this week as well. So due dates, couple of things to keep in mind this week. Again, we have a week 4 discussion, and that original post is due Wednesday. Make sure that you are also responding to 2 of your fellow students by Saturday. Any and all redos of previous assignments for a higher grade, those are due no later than Tuesday at midnight. If you miss that deadline and you submit something, it's not going to be regraded. You'll keep the same grade that you have. So I just want to make everyone aware. Weeks 1 and 2, if you have any late assignments and or assessments from weeks 1 and 2, those will close out on Friday of this week. And week 4 assignments cannot be turned in late. Remember, the course will turn into a pumpkin at midnight. Do not wait to upload. The entire school ends the mod on Saturday at midnight. We are all uploading things. I'm in the MBA courses here. I have a course. My work is due Saturday at midnight. And I can tell you most times during the day when I try to submit my work on Saturday, it chugs through to upload because everybody's uploading. Everybody's trying to make sure they get everything in on time. So please don't wait till the last minute to upload. If something goes wrong and it is not uploading, you need to email the file to me immediately. If it is not in my email Sunday morning when I go into grade and finalize our grades, I will assume that you just didn't do it. So keep that in mind. So today's our last live session, and tomorrow will be our final multi-session. Again, if you do need any outside help, the Student Success Center is open with tutoring available. Please don't wait to get help this week. Please go in and get the help you need. Get into the Student Success Center if you can't make it to the multi-session. Don't wait. All right, on that note, let's take a look at some announcements for this week. Do 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 do. So I just wanted to point out that I shared this really cool video. I'll actually play it. I share this every mod with my students, but I think it's a really cool video anyways. There's a segment on the news up here, and it's called Made in Mass. And they went into this business that does lots of package design and graphic design, and they were talking about these new printing techniques that they have there. And I just thought that it was so awesome because it really relates to basically everything that we do. So I'm just gonna share that with you real quick. But if you get a chance to check it out on your own, I definitely suggest it. We'll see if it loads. Come on. Might have to open it in a new window.
It's nice to have somebody else in your cheering section helping you get through these challenges.
Imagine your office color printer on steroids. Well, then you'd have this. It's called the Beast of the East.
It blows my mind.
Abbott Action's marketing director, Marcia Prey, says she's constantly amazed at what this behemoth can do. It's the largest single-pass, 6-color digital printer in all of New England, and it's capable of producing breathtaking images like this.
There's 4 pieces of corrugated here.
The ability to print on this scale with exacting detail is changing the packaging industry. Both customers and consumers are taking notice.
I can't believe the lifelike, the skin tones, the highlights that you can work with, the detail.
As a result, this Attleboro company believes they have become the most comprehensive supplier of corrugated containers, point-of-purchase displays, and protective packaging solutions in the entire Northeast.
When the sheets are printed from the digital printer, they're brought over. This is all automated, 100% automated.
Many times, packaging is the last thing planned for a product, but Abbott believes it should be one of the first. After all, it's the first thing a buyer sees when a shipment arrives.
They want to catch people's attention out on the market, and the only way to catch people's attention is by changing out your graphics, being able to give them something that's a wow factor.
From conceptual design to engineering and testing, at Abbott, they can create almost any type of packaging a customer could desire. Abbott Action was formed in 2001.
So again, I just thought that that was really cool because it really relates back to what it is that, we do. We do graphic design, we do package design. We're the person who puts something out in front of a consumer that's going to get their attention. So I thought that, it's really cool when you see something on the news that relates to the type of field that you are in. So I always like to try to share those types of videos with you guys. All right, so again, a reminder about those redos for a higher grade. Those are due tomorrow at midnight. Anything that is submitted after that deadline for a redo will not be graded. And then Wanda Bryant, she is our learning coach. These are her hours for this week. She's off today and Wednesday, but she has hours Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and all times are Mountain Time. However, if you do need to get in with the learning coaches and she is not available, that is fine. You can still get into the Student Success Center. Even if Wanda's not there, there will be other tutors who will be able to help you out. So let's take a look and see what our hours are for this week. So week 4, today until 9 p.m. Mountain Time, tomorrow until 9 p.m. Mountain Time, Wednesday and Thursday and Friday until 11 p.m. Mountain Time, and Saturday until 10 p.m. Mountain Time. So those are some great hours. If you're working later on in the day, it's really important. If you run into any trouble, we're in week 4, try to get in there and see if somebody can assist you. Don't wait. Right, it's true. It really is rare that you see stuff about graphic design on the news. It's pretty true. They just think that our lovely work comes from magic, I think, sometimes. All right, some tips for a successful week 4. Again, I say this every week. Don't forget about those readings and videos if you need some help with your discussion question, please visit the Writing Center. If you want to come to the live session, or if you need to find that recorded session, you can find it in 2 places. You can find it in the live session tab, and you can find it in the announcements. If you go into the announcements, you'll have a link to my slides to go with your live session video. If you need some extra help, make sure that you're visiting the Student Success Center. If you need some computer help, you can go to computer support. You know, we're in week 4. Even if you get all of your work in early, don't forget to do those daily checkpoints. Try to make sure that you log in each day and still do that daily checkpoint. If you're trying to locate your FPA for the final, you can find your FPA in your student portal. So there's instructions right here. And I can show you really quick where you can find it as well. So if you go to myindependence.edu and you go to your student portal, log in, your FPA is listed right on the homepage right there. Advisor, Faculty, Program Advisor. That is your FPA. Like I said, I'm in the MBA program, so my FPA is Robert Potter, but yours will be listed right there. And if you're ever I really wish that they actually put our classes on the homepage, because it does look a little confusing. But if you ever need to try to figure out what's going on, you can go to Academics, My Class Schedule, and you can view it by term. So you can view and see what you will be taking next mod, the mod after that. I think you can usually view about 4 mods out. I find that I can view about 4 mods out. So I will be taking current topics in entrepreneurial leadership next mod. I know. You're very jealous that you can't take that you probably get to take another fun design course. I know how it is. Don't be too jealous of me, though. All right, and then on Thursdays, of week 4, you probably notice that when you log in, there's that student survey, and it won't let you get into the course until you take it. This survey is required by our accreditors, but we also like to hear what you have to say. It's really beneficial to us. So please make sure that you're reading over the questions. Also, just because this does grade me, please make sure that if you mean to give me a 10, that you don't accidentally give me a 1, because they put it in kind of a weird area, and I once almost gave my instructor all 1s, and I meant to give him all 10s. So just kind of pay attention when you're taking it. I would really appreciate it. As far as if you want to start your Behance page, I know that you guys don't start a Behance page until later on, but if that's something that you ever wanted to do, or you want to start to put together some of your work that you did this mod for when you do start your Behance page, you can actually get free mock-ups from your Creative Cloud assets. So if you go up into your Creative Cloud, which is up in your top bar, and click on the icon and go to assets, you can kind of search for different things. So I was looking for a trifold because I was doing a menu, and then I was able to mock my menu up so it looked like it was, folded and laying on a table. So it's really cool to kind of get into the habit of doing things like that. And then remember, again, Saturday's a hard deadline for the course, so let's finish this week strong. Make sure you get in any of that outstanding work, watch the live sessions, email me if you need help, do those daily checkpoints. But also, remember, we're going to school for graphic design, so have fun with your designs. Have fun this week. Don't get too stressed out. Yes, and that is one of the greatest episodes of The Office. Exactly. All right, so let's hop on over back into the slides. So again, I want to go over a couple of things from last week. Some things that people were having some trouble with in the assignment. So we'll talk a little bit about those style sheets again, the master pages, some alignment issues, placing that ad on page 4. We already went over this. weeks. And then again, you do have a discussion for this week. So why don't we, before we kind of get into the assignment for this week, why don't we just kind of go through week 4? So let's take a look at our course media for week 4, scrolling down because this is our last week. So you do have that lecture 1 that you need to watch. Also, there is an article on using grids, defining a grid system on your layout, creating ruler grids, and then there are some lynda.com videos on aligning to a baseline grid. We've been doing this for the last 2 weeks, but if you're still having a little bit of trouble with it, this will help you out. Then layout and composition, and then there's also an optional video on scale, symmetry, and asymmetry in a magazine layout. So, again, just a helpful video with some extra information. It's only 2.5 minutes long. I find that those videos are really, really informative. And again, we have our discussion this week. We're going to be talking about putting InDesign to work. So, as we learned in this course, InDesign is the industry standard for print layout and composition. I've been doing this for a lot of years. That is definitely a true statement. Way back before InDesign even existed, we used Quark Express. Technically, Quark Express still exists, and they used to be the industry standard, but I have not used Quark Express in over, probably 13 or 14 years at this point. So, InDesign is the standard that we use. It's used to create projects such as brochures, magazines, newspapers, advertisements, posters, books, almost anything. People will use it for business cards sometimes. InDesign is also capable of producing static websites, simple to complex animations, interactive forms, and digital publications. There are, in fact, graphic artists that utilize InDesign for just about everything that they do, and I'm probably one of those people. From print projects that we're more familiar with to web banners, interactive forms, and e-publications. Many say InDesign is one of the most powerful tools in the Creative Cloud. I would probably be one of those people. I was really excited when I got to beta test InDesign before my company, made the switch all those many moons ago. I've really been an advocate for the program since. I really think it has so many capabilities. So you have now had the opportunity to utilize InDesign to create several projects this month. Check out this list. There's a link for you of mobile apps, paying close attention to the ones that have InDesign as a companion software. So for your initial post this week, I want you to choose one of the mobile apps that's listed and describe what it does and how it integrates with InDesign. Then you can describe how you could bring the two together and what type of project it creates. Will this knowledge of InDesign's power give you an advantage in obtaining work in the industry? Stop and think about that. Why or why not? For your citation this week, because we need to have an APA cited source, you can find articles from experts that suggest how using InDesign with current Adobe apps is changing the face of the graphic design industry today. Your initial and reply post should work to develop a group understanding of this topic. Challenge each other, build on each other, always be respectful, but discuss this and figure it out together. And again, remember you need to have that one main post and your 2 follow-up posts on 2 different days. So, don't wait too long to get into the discussion this week. Try to get that done. Maybe get your initial post done today and get your 2 posts done by Wednesday. And then you can focus on getting your final work done, Thursday and Friday. And then maybe you can just take, Saturday off. Don't procrastinate this week. So for our assignment for week 4, we're going to finish up that newsletter. Last week, we did pages 1 and 4. So this week, we are going to do pages 2 and 3. This is the home stretch. So I'm going to go over the background of this and everything else. Or actually, you know what? Strike that. Let's just look and see what else you need to do this week, and then we'll go back to that, go over the background, then we'll spend the rest of our time in InDesign really getting into the rest of that newsletter. All right, so your week 4 assessment, you have a final exam. It's worth 35 points, so don't not do it. You know, please take your time doing it. There are 14 questions, but there is no time limit. So really take your time, double check your work before you hit that submit button. It's on identifying and matching 10 basic tools, identifying and matching 5 InDesign panels, creating a new document, identifying and applying the 4 basic principles of design. Those are those CRAP principles. And then defining and applying the 5 basic elements of design: shape, line, color, texture, and value. So the quiz is based on the week 1 through 4 live sessions, the readings, and the videos. And again, 14 questions, and it's not timed. So be careful to read the questions over before you pick your option. And then you also have, which is worth 15 points, the career integration quiz. So the questions are, what did you find of the most value from the readings? So we have readings and videos each week. You know, those are the readings and videos that I go over in the tabs that you have. You know, why did you find value in them? What did you find of most value from the instructor lectures? And what did you find of most value from the assignments? So make sure that your responses are 50 words or more, but don't put anything too general like, I learned to better prepare for my future career, because you'll get 3 points on that question. All right, so let's go back to our assignment. I feel like I'm about to lose my voice today. That might be good. Hold on, let me mute myself real quick. I'm just going to try to blow my nose and hope that I get my voice back a little. All right, and back. Yeah, a little bit of an improvement, but not too much. Oh well, what can you do, right? It's cold and flu season. At least I don't have the flu, knock on wood. All right, so here's our background for our assignment for this week. So you're in the home stretch, your pages are created, and now it's the time to implement all that you've learned this mod and create a simple, functional, and attractive newsletter. A new tool that you will be working with is learning how to link multiple columns across multiple pages. This is definitely a must-know technique, so the designer isn't worried about copy changes a client may make later that affects the flow of text from page to page. Sometimes a designer will want to have an element that runs on top of another element or underneath. This is used with the layer stacking order in the layers panel. Learning these additional tools and implementing your basic knowledge of the principles of and elements of design will round out your basic knowledge of page layout design and prepare you for more advanced techniques in your upcoming courses. So here is what we need to do for this week. So for this assignment, you're going to be continuing the work that you began in week 3. You want to duplicate the file that you created for the week 3 assignment and rename it for this week. So change the name from 3 to 4. You're going to make changes or revisions that were suggested by me in your critique, or in your grade book, I should say, on the 2 pages that you did in the week 3 assignment. You're going to download the articles and photographs below if you don't already have them downloaded from week 3. You must use all of the text provided, and you must use all of the photos provided. If you need to adjust your style sheets upon adding the actual elements, you may do so, but make the changes within the style sheet themselves. Don't just edit the text. You're encouraged to follow the general layout from the example so you can focus on learning the tools. And I know that this says it's an encouragement, but here's the thing. We were given specific styles that we needed to have as part of the assignment. There were specifics in those style sheets on how things needed to be set up. So that's why you're told to follow this layout, because sometimes if you don't follow the layout, those styles might not work in other situations. So that's what I want to point out here. When you're finished with your design, you're going to create a package folder. You're going to make sure that there's a quality screen resolution PDF that's included in your package. So this week we didn't need those crop and bleed marks because we don't have a bleed set up with this document. And then you're going to zip that package folder and submit the zip file. So the package file needs to include the flag, the 7 Word files with copy for the newsletter, 7 photographs, the style sheet specifications, the graduation ad PDF, and the final newsletter PDF. Make sure that you are reading over the rubric each week and that you've met all of the criteria before you submit, and you'll submit that assignment as a zip file. So because I didn't do the demo last week, I'm going to kind of do a little bit of an unorthodox way. I opened up an old version of this from the last time I taught this course, and I'll just delete weeks 2 and 3. But what I would normally do to make a copy of this is I would go into my week 3 folder, find my assignment, which again from the last time that I did this class, and I would open it up in InDesign. And I would do a file, save as, and put it in week 4. And into an assignment folder, and I would just name it, assignment 4 smcnamara.indd. So that's how I would do that to make that copy of it. So we'll pretend that I just did that, and then here it is, right? So let me just delete these 2 things, and I'm going to open up this one. And as I said, I had already done this in the previous class, so I'm just going to delete what I have on pages 2 and 3, so that way I can do that with you today. But there were a couple of things that I wanted to point out that people were missing. So what those things are is, I know a couple of people were having some issues with the dots up here, so I wanted to show you an easy way to do that. I use either the pen tool or you can use the line tool. If you're using the line tool, you need to hold down Shift so you get a nice straight line here. And you can just run that line, and you'll notice that, I must have been on that swatch, that red, right here, that newsletter red. And then right where it shows the line, you can change that to these Japanese dots. Oh no, that's not the one. Try dotted. And then just bring up the point size to about 3 points, and that's the easiest way to make that dotted line. Also, make sure that you aren't coloring the text box in, but rather drawing a rectangle and placing it behind your text box. The reason why I say that is, and let me zoom in a little bit, you can kind of see right here the bounding box for my text box, and you'll notice it isn't laying right up against the edge of the rectangle. And I want to just show you what it looks like if you don't do it that way. So let me make a quick copy of this and kind of do the same thing, but with coloring the back of the text box. So, giving it a red border and then coloring the background, that newsletter red, and I think I had it at like 20%. Whoops. So I know it's not a huge difference, but it really matters in the design. So see how the words are right, they're butted up right against that line, and it makes it a little bit difficult to read. Whereas if you give yourself, you know, some space by creating the rectangle, putting the rectangle behind it and bringing it over and bringing it over, again, you just have a little bit of room between the elements, and it makes it easier for readability. So again, a small thing, but it really matters. It really sets your design apart. So you know, there's a reason if I told you to, you know, draw a rectangle in the back instead of coloring in those text boxes, because it really does help the design. It's going to make your design stand out amongst the crowd. It looks more professional, and then at the end of the day, that's what we want. We want to look like the professionals here. So, you know, try to make that change if I made a comment about that. Secondly, I may have commented that your text boxes were not linked. So I will go over how to do that again in on pages 2 and 3, because we're going to be linking text boxes. But again, there's a reason for that. If you need to kind of close up this text box a bit, it'll flow into the next one and vice versa. Make sure if you see any of those squares with the plus sign in it, that you are fixing that. That means that there is overset text. Also, if you haven't already, you need to have your master pages set up. So again, the way I had set it up is, and I'll change, we're in December. Whew. So if I change this on my master page here, and if I change this on this page, and then I go back into my file, it's been changed. So that's why we use those master pages. You know, think about newsletters. Newsletters come out every single month. That's why you try to set up a template for a newsletter, and you try to set it up appropriately. So that way, you know, you might not always be the designer who works on the newsletter, and you want to have it set up in a way that anyone can open up your file and make the changes that need to be changed, and be able to understand your file and be able to really not mess your file up. When my first job was working at a newspaper in town, the Standard Times, and I worked my way up through that company. And by the time I left there, I was their senior graphic designer for the classified section. And one of my jobs was to set up templates for the real estate section that came out. It was an insert in the paper. It came out every single Sunday. It was like Homes and Gardens or something like that. And each of our customers had a specific template for their ads. So I would set up what we call the shell. And it would be set up kind of similarly like this, only, again, Quark Express, which was what we used back then, they didn't have master pages or anything like this where you could just make, you know, a switch on the master page and it affected the rest of the layout. So there was, I think, like 2 weeks that I took on vacation, and I came back, and the person that they had, you know, covering for me, he basically destroyed all of my templates. I was like, oh my goodness. I opened up the paper that week, and I was like, why am I opening up the paper on vacation? Oh man, this is a mess. He didn't do anything he was supposed to do. But because you couldn't set up a master template that way, you didn't even have the ability to set up a paragraph style. So those were one of the key things that I noticed when we switched over to InDesign. Was I said, oh, this is going to be great because you can use styles. So that way, you know, if Century 21 always needs to have this font at this font size, which is how their templates were set up, you could set a style for them. So that's why it's so important to use these, to use the paragraph styles, to use the master pages, because it really sets your designs up for success. So you'll notice on, this is the master page that is attached to page 1. We have Student Matters is on the left-hand side, and we have the date, and then the page number, the folio, is on the right-hand side. So again, the way to create that folio is, put in the date, December 2018. If you are on a Mac, it's option 8 to do a bullet point, and then do a space and go to type, insert special character, markers, and then current page number. And that's what's going to put in that letter A right there that changes from page to page. However, for page 2, it's a different setup. So over here is page 2. This is the page that's attached to page 2 of the master. You'll notice on the example you were given that the things are swapped. So what I did was I took the Student Matters and I made a copy of it over here, and I right justified it right up against this edge, and then I took the text for the pages, brought it over, and I moved the page number to the left, then the bullet, then the date. So again, it's kind of a reverse or a mirror image of each other on each side. So this is what you will need to do to get that to show up on page 2. I know I shared a video from the last time I taught the course, and I couldn't remember if it went over in that video, putting together the master page for page 2. So again, that's how I did it. I'll show it to you again real quick. I'll actually do it from the beginning. So you go up into your master pages. I'm going to delete what I have here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the line I made, and I'm going to hold down the Option key, and I'm going to start to drag over, but then I'm going to hit Shift as I'm dragging. So I can hold down both keys at one time. And then once I get right to the edge, which should be your X coordinate of 0.5, I'm going to let go. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to grab this text box. I'm going to hold down Option, start to drag, hold down Shift, bring it all the way over until it's lined up on the left-hand side with that margin. And then I'll grab Student Matters, holding down Option and Shift, drag it over, and then let go. I'll just zoom in. And with my type tool, I hit Command X. That gets rid of that. I'm going to just move it to the front over here. You can do the same thing with the bullet. Do Command X. I'm just going to put in a new bullet and delete that one. And then I want to left justify this up here, align left. So that takes care of that. And then for this one, all I need to do is select it and right align it. And there we go. And then save it. Oh, and yeah, no wonder why it asked me to do that. I originally completed this this project in Adobe CC 2018. So whenever you hit save, when you're going from an older file, from an older version, it almost acts like a save as, because it needs to save it as a 2019 version. That confused me for 1 second. I was like, what are you doing? It's already there. All right, so then to get back into your pages, double click on page 2 or double click on page 1, and you can get yourself back in. Because sometimes, and I didn't see it this time, but sometimes I have seen people accidentally design in the master pages, not down on the page that they need to be on. What else? Just again, make sure that things are aligned to your baseline grid. If your body copy is not aligned to your baseline grid, you're going to want to double click on that body copy style. Go down to indents and spacing, and you want to align all lines to that grid, to that baseline grid. And I think that that's about it for the things. Only one page was blue. Oh, when it's selected, it's whichever master page that I'm selecting to go to. I mean, they both kind of open up, but it brings me directly to that page when I double click. It just turns blue to show which one's applied. See, when I click here, it also turns it blue. And yeah, I think that's all that I ran into. Oh, if you were, you made your originals layer and you placed your PDF file back there, please make sure that you turn that layer off before you save it and you make the PDF. Otherwise they'll both show up and you can see how it looks a little bit weird. So just make sure that you turn that layer off. And yeah, that might have been the only thing. So I'm actually right now, I'm going to turn that layer back on for a second. And I'm going to replace pages 2 and 3 so I can go over that again with you. Excuse me. So again, it makes the most sense to work on top of this original newsletter. That's how you know that your style sheets that you set up, that they're going to work. If you feel really comfortable in InDesign, you've used the program before, and you're like, what, I kind of want to try to see what I can do with the design while, still using the paragraph styles that they need to be used, how they need to be used, things like that, that's fine. But if this is your first time getting into InDesign, that might be a bit too much, and that's why you want to follow the layout that you were given. All right, so I'm going to make sure I'm on my originals layer, and I'm going to place page 2 and I'm going to place page 3 from the layout that I downloaded, that PDF file. So I'm going to just go to File, Place. I'm not even going to draw a box. I'm just going to go to File, Place. And I'm going to go over to Mod 12, to Week 3, Assignment, the files that I downloaded, that Student Matters, and I'm going to go to my mockup, nlmockup.pdf. And I'm going to click Show Import Options, and then I'm going to click Open. This is going to give me the option to go over and place page 2. So I'm going to click on page 2, and I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to drop it in there. And this is why it's important having that master page set up, because you need to kind of line it up where it needs to go once you drop it in there. And go. Try to get it right on top of my baseline grid. So my XY coordinates are basically 0 and 0.2043. I'm just kind of noting that, so if somebody's like, I wonder if I have it lined up correctly, that's where it ended up on my screen. And then I'm going to do the same thing for page 4. So I'm going to go File, Place, grab that NL mockup. Again, I still have Show Import Options clicked. I'll hit Open, and I'm going to go over to page 3 and hit OK. And then I'll just click and place that and drag that down where it's supposed to go. Trying to line it up as best as I can. Zoom in. and I have it basically at 8.7807 for my X coordinate, and my Y coordinate is 0.4514. So you can kind of see the difference in how it drew the PDF, the box for the PDF, and that's why sometimes placing it inside of a rectangle might not work correctly. It can be a little bit more trouble than it's worth when you're placing PDF files. You know, I'm not going to lie about that. So that's why I do it this way. And then I'm going to lock that layer. So that way I don't accidentally, now that I've gotten everything lined up, I don't accidentally move it around and I'm like, oh no, you know. Page 3, pages 1 through 3. I'm trying to see if there's anything I need to delete from my layers right now. Don't think so. Healthy snacking, page 3. Background blue. And all right. We'll do it that way. So I'm going to work on page 2 first. Now, what you will notice is there is an article on page 2 that runs from page 2 over to page 3. So that is what we were talking about when you see having those linking text boxes. Where is it? Need changes. General layout. I swear I read that. Oh, here it is. You know, multiple columns across multiple pages. That's what we're talking about. So the first thing that I like to do is I like to draw all of my text boxes and then import in the text. So I'm going to draw the first one. And then once I have the first one drawn, I know this seems kind of silly, but once I have the first one drawn and I know that I have it exactly, like I like to go a little bit wider than what the margin is, just because sometimes InDesign isn't going to let your text run right up against the edge of the text box. So I like to give it a little bit more than what it needs. Like right here, it would have been 2.33333333 or something. So I'm going to make it, you know, like 2.38 is pretty much a good width for that. And then I'm going to make a copy of this text box, holding down the Option key, and I'll start to drag and then hold down Shift. And I'm going to line it up with this side, the left side of this column, not the right side, because I want to make sure that my gutter stays the same. And then I'll do the same thing over here. Option and Shift, drag it and line it up to the left side of this column. And I can close this one up a little bit. Right about to the top of this picture. And then next, I'm going to make one more copy and drag it over to, again, the left side of this column. Drag it up to the top. And open it down to the bottom. Right down to the bottom. And then I will only put my text in this first column. And when I do that, I want to make sure that things start to, things start to look lined up at the top where they're supposed to be. So again, I'll add that in, and then I'll probably adjust the first column and repeat it across these three. And this one is kind of on its own because it's a little bit taller than these three. So let's go over to week 3 again, because that's where I have that download with all of my files that I need. Student Matters download. And this one is called Get More Out of Your Study Time. Or Study Time. There we go. Open up that doc file. You can change, yeah, you can definitely change the opacity on that template layer. I'll probably end up doing that as soon as I start to bring the text in. So I'm not going to grab the headline because the headline's going to go into a text box up here. I'm just going to start with the first paragraph. And I'm going to select everything. Even though I know it's not going to all fit, remember, it's not going to all fit in that first text box. It doesn't matter because I'm going to link these. So you can, again, select your text tool, click in the text box. The little trick is, because we're in week 4, so I'm going to show you a couple of little tricks. If you're on the black arrow key and double click on the text box, it turns it to the text tool for you. So saves you, you know, a millisecond basically, but it's a cool little trick. I'm just going to paste that in. So again, you can do edit paste or control or command V. Paste that in, and you can see it's accidentally on not the right paragraph style. So I want it to be on, I'm going to set it to body copy first. Whoops. Select everything, set it to, why is that? That's not right. Something went wrong here. Body copy. Times New Roman, 12-point type. Yep, that does not look like Times New Roman 12-point type. What is going on here? This is bizarre. Why is it? That's so bizarre. Something weird is happening. Times New Roman, 12/15. Okay. So, hold on. I'm going to close out my file. I'll save it, but I'm going to see what happens when I restart it. That got weird. That got really weird really quick. Still wrong. That's header. Now, wow. That's really bizarre, and I'm almost wondering, I think that this could be my file, because remember how I just said that that I opened up a file that was created in 2018, but I saved it in 2019, and I'm wondering if that's what happened. So I'm going to try to fix this real quick by making a new document. If something weird, and as much as I hate that this happens when I'm doing live demos, I kind of like that it happens when I do live demos because I can offer you a fix, you know, or you can at least see my process of how I try to fix things. So I'm going to create a new document, and I'm going to try to copy and paste in things so that way, you know, see if I can kind of just fix this. So I got to go back into week 3 to make sure that I have all the correct dimensions to put in. So let's do that real quick. So again, if you ever run into something like this, which you might not in this course because you guys started in 2019, but let's say in a couple of years there's an upgrade and, you know, it's Adobe CC 2020 or something, and you run into this problem, at least you'll hopefully remember this fix that I did, and hopefully it'll work. So I need 8.5 by 11. Facing pages, 4 pages, start at page 1, 3 columns. My gutter is 0.25. My margins were different. It was 0.5 and 0.75 on the bottom, so I want to uncheck that. 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. Bottom is 0.75. Make sure that that's not linked. I don't need a bleed. And create. All right. There we go. It's like, why do I only see 1 page? And I'm going to go to my master pages, and I'm going to select everything, copy it, go to my master pages here. And what I want to do is I want to paste in place. So I'm going to go to Edit, Paste in Place, or you can right click and select it. I can never remember what this quick key is. Put that there, and you'll notice it brought over my paragraph style with it, so that's good. I wasn't sure if it would do that. Layers, I'm gonna open all my layers up. Again, I'm making sure that none of my layers are locked right now because I want to grab everything. So I'm going to go page 1, do Command A, Command C for copy. Go to page 1, and I'm going to say, again, right click, paste in place. And see, that got really weird. I have a feeling I'm going to have to delete these paragraph styles. Something weird has happened with this paragraph style. And I don't know what. Or something weird happened with my baseline grid. Let's go to grids. Increment every 15. All right, because I didn't set that up. Change my threshold to 65%, and I'm going to give my grid a violet color and uncheck grids in the black and hit OK. All right, that fixed that. All right, so my grid was off when I did that. That's fine. Go back into the original. Again, I'll grab page 4 because I know that one's correct. Go down to page 4. Do a paste in place. All right, that looks right. Go to page 2, and this is where it's all going awry. So let's see what happens if I do a Command A on page 2. Copy this. Paste in place. And that still, it's, oh, it attached the subheader. And you'll notice over here, whoops, it says subheader now instead of body copy. It didn't, whatever. I'm closing this one out. All right. Everything's on the same layer though, so I'm gonna have to fix this, but still very weird. Still not getting rid of that. All right. Why? I'm just gonna delete these text boxes. I'm gonna start over by drawing my text boxes because that just makes 0 sense. All right. Go into Word. Copy that. And again, I'm doing the same thing I already did. I'm just going to do it quick because I want to see if I can get this fixed. And that time I copied him with the body copy. All right. There it is. All right. Now, if you've accidentally, see how everything got copied over on the same layer? If you have accidentally, put everything on the same layer and you need to separate it out, what you can do is I'm going to make a new layer. I'm going to call my new layer my originals. And you can open up your layers and see how that NL mockup right there, if I just kind of open this up right here, what I can do is I can drag this and place it in my originals layer, close them both up, place that underneath, 100%, change this to 40%. Let's see. Much better. Although, and then I'll have to do the same thing down here. So I'll have to grab each of these, the NL mockups, and drag them into the originals layer. Each time I do that, I'm going to have to change that opacity on that set of layers. Come on. Work with me today, InDesign. No? No? Not going to do it? Really? Because you are not at 40%. You are definitely at 100% because I can see you at 100%. My InDesign does not want to play today, so I'm going to have to manually go in here and change that to 40%. All right. So again, sometimes these things happen. You know, you just got to kind of roll with it. So now that I've somewhat fixed this, I'm going to save my file. So I'm going to do a file save as, and I'm actually going to save over the other file that completely went awry. Replace it. There we go. And I'm going to name layer 1. I'm just going to call it my working layer right now. Leave it as is. And lock my originals layer. So I think I have everything where it's supposed to be. However, my margins don't look right. I set up my margins correctly and they do not look right. Because they're not. Oh, man. What is going on today? 0.7. No. Side 0.5. Inside bottom. 0.75. And that is not. Something is not going right here. This is correct here. This is correct here. This is not correct here. Unless if that's a guide that copied over. That is not a guide that copied over. What on earth? Got extra. See these red lines? I don't know what this is. I don't know why that copied there. The only thing I can think to do is to delete everything. All right, delete everything, and I'm going to replace things because copying it from that that corrupted file did something weird, and it copied over some really weird guides that don't belong. All right, so I'm gonna place it on the originals. Show my import. Remember it was 0, so I'll fix that. No. Show my baseline grid. There we go. Get that right on the baseline grid. And do the same thing over here. Place my mock-up page 3. Good. Leave and lock that layer. Although I want to change the opacity of these to 40%. There we go. All right. Oh, it might have been this bar. Maybe that's what that was. Oh well, that's fine. Just in case. And for the 10th time today, I'll draw my text boxes. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Perfect. And we'll copy that text in yet again. Make sure it's on body copy. I'm going to deal with the drop cap in a minute, because what I want to do first is I want to link these text boxes. So this might be a little bit wider than I needed it to be. So I'm going to just close that up to be 2.4. I'll do the same on all of these. So I'm going to select this text box. I'm holding down Shift, this text box, and this text box. And I'm going to change the width on each of them to 2.4. I don't know if it's not going to let me do that. I'll just do them one at a time. 2.4 and 2.4. And then I'll scroll down again. And again, I always hate this because I can't really zoom in on that square with the plus sign in it, but it's at the bottom right-hand corner of the text box. And I want to click on that red square, click on the text box, click on the red square again with my black arrow tool, and I'm going to then click into the text box next to it, and it's going to drag, it's going to flow that text box into here. And then I'll do the same thing here. I'm going to click on the red square until I get that little lock symbol with the text. Click onto the text box next to it. Now close this one up a little bit. The red square again. Click on the red square and click into my last text box over here. And my very first paragraph needs to have that drop cap. So I'm going to grab this paragraph, hit drop cap. And there's some bullet points that I need to be aware of going on over here. So again, you might need to remove the bullets and use, this isn't a might, you're gonna have to remove the bullets and use the bullets that occur with your paragraph style. So it's avoid thinking catastrophically, this to here, I believe. Click on bullet points. And then you'll notice there's an extra return here that shouldn't be here, so I need to hit backspace to get your environment matters up. And I'll deal with these other headers in a moment. I just want to make sure everything else is lined up where it needs to be. And again, right here, I need to backspace and bring that one up. All right, so your approach matters. This is it's not the subheader that we have done because that, oh yeah, it is, never mind. I was thinking, oh, my headers didn't come over. I'm gonna have to make those again. They didn't copy and paste over for some reason from my original layout. So here's my subheader. That one did copy and paste over. But this one, your environment matters. Again, change that to subheader. Schedule matters. Change that one to subheader. And don't be worried if it doesn't match up correctly, you know, like exactly. It's not the end of the world. Perfect. All right, so I need to open up my style sheet settings and add in my headers again. All right, body's in there, bullets are in there, drop caps are in there, subheaders are in there, but all my headers are gone. So Helvetica bold left, do not snap to baseline grid. So, all right, I'm gonna make new style. is not going to be based on anything. I'm going to call this header 1, and it needs to be Helvetica bold 32/34. And again, I have Helvetica. If you don't, you can use Arial. My bold is 7. Oh, I've got like 76 versions of Helvetica here. Bold 32/34. 2/34. The color is blue. Newsletter blue. And I just want to make sure that I don't want to align to the grid. So I'm going to click none. And I'll save that one. Then I will make another one. Name this header 2. This one's going to be 24/25. This one I am going to base on header 1 and just kind of change some of the options. So 24/25. Again, just kind of double check things, especially where if you're having weird issues coming up like I was. Make sure it's still not aligned to the grid and make sure it's still blue. Hit OK. And then my next one, again, I'll base that on header 2. That's fine. This one's going to be header 3. This one needs to be 18/19. So 18 points over 19, but it's red. So I need to change the character color to that newsletter red and hit OK. All right. And save. Save and save often when your files are doing weird things. Close that out. And I'll go back up to the top and I'm going to grab the headline, get more out of your study time. Close that up, give myself a little bit of room. I hate that everything is kind of everywhere on the screen. Draw my text box. Oh, make sure I'm on my right layer. Yep, I'm on my right layer. Or I should have done that before I closed it out. Draw my text box. Paste that text in. And this is a header 1. And that works perfectly. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to place these 2 photos. So remember, we downloaded these photos in week 3, last week. But what you need to do is you need to make sure that they're CMYK, they're not RGB, and that they're 300 DPI because this is a printed piece. So I need to open up the study time 1 and the study time 2 JPEGs in Photoshop. And again, making sure that's CMYK, they both are. I might have fixed that last time, but when you downloaded them, you want to double check if you haven't already. And I'm going to draw my rectangle frame tool. With my rectangle frame tool, I'm going to draw a frame for this one. Okay, I got to zoom in to make sure I line it up nice. I'm going to go File, Place, and grab my studying guy. I don't need to do show import options. He's study time 1. If you ever aren't sure, and like these little icons are super hard to see, obviously. If you hit the space bar, it'll show you a preview of what the image is so you can see it. And then just hit the space bar again to get it to go away. Click open, and it's going to be way too big. So I want to go to Object, Fitting, and I want to fit content proportionally, but I need, that one's not going to work. I want to object, fitting. I want to fill the frame proportionally. There we go. Now he's in there perfectly. And they'll do the same thing down here. I am going to, I'm going to close this one up just a little bit. There we go. Because that was running a little bit too close into my gutter right here between the two pages. Draw with my rectangle frame tool again. And file place. And this one was study time 2, I believe. Yep. Grab that guy. And then I'm going to go to object, fitting, fill frame proportionally. And he was actually up here. So I'm going to take my white arrow and I select it inside the box. I'm just going to move him up. And if you're wondering, like, all right, here's an easy way to get it to fit exactly. Select just that photo that you just placed. Change that opacity to like 20%, let's say. And you can kind of move him until he doesn't look as blurry. And that's how you know he's matched up. And close it right where it needs to be. And then turn the opacity back up to 100%. Perfect. So page 2 looks pretty good. All right, next up, double check page 3. If you need to, you might want to close that up. That didn't work. Get rid of, there we go. All right, that kind of worked. Get rid of that extra return there. I just closed it up to the margin, and that kind of worked. What I am going to do, though, is kind of zoom in on this paragraph. I don't like having one word by itself on that line. So I'm going to put my cursor here, and I'm going to hit Shift Enter, not Enter, but just Shift Enter, and move this down. And that kind of redoes, we call this the rag. This redoes the rag on the right-hand side. And then that way I don't have to, just that one word on the last line. You never want to leave like one word alone on the last line of text. All right, save it again. We're making some progress. So every time you make progress, make sure you save. All right, next thing I'm going to tackle is I'm going to tackle this area right here. So in my layers, and again, this might be helpful to make another layer for, if you want, what I would probably do is make a layer and call it background colors and put it underneath your working layer, and then draw those rectangles that you want to be behind your text boxes and put them there. So again, I'm going to go in my rectangle frame tool, and this is the same color as the rectangle on page 1. So if you want, you can make a copy of this box. If you don't want to, try to figure out what your coloring was. I believe I had it set as newsletter blue, 20% for the interior. And then the exterior is that newsletter red, and it's a 1-point border on it. So either way is fine. So I could hit, again, select it, hit copy or edit copy. Go down to page 3 and paste that in. And just do something like that. Or you can redraw the box. It's really up to you. And for this, what I'm going to do for right now, like I know that is there and I have it the color I need it to be. I'm just going to turn the layer off. Oh, I copied it onto the wrong layer. Hold on. There we go. Paste it there. Put you where you belong. right there. All right. Then turn you off. There we go. All right. I like to do something like that because then I can just turn it back on at the end and it's fine. But then I can still see what needs to happen. Paste, not place. Yep, you copy and paste. So for this one, what you can do is you can put in the photos first or you can put in the text first. It really doesn't matter. I'm going to kind of work my way down. So I'm going to put in the first photo. Again, my rectangle frame tool. Draw that rectangle, and I'm going to turn this on for 1 second because I want to make sure that this is centered with this box. So I'm going to select both of these, and I'm going to go to Align, which apparently I don't have open. Where are you? Object and Layout. Oh, I did have it open. Whoops. And just, oh, spot on. Go me. Sometimes I do amaze myself. I just want to say. Just kidding. So I'm going to place that healthy snacking. And again, I want to double check and make sure that that healthy snacking image, that they are both CMYK. So I'm going to open them up really quick in Photoshop. I think I did this last time that I taught the class, and I'm kind of grabbing the photos from the last time that I taught the class. CMYK, CMYK, perfect. And I'm going to place that first one in there. So File, Place. And I'm going to go to Object, Fitting, and I want to fill frame proportionally. Perfect. And then I'll just do the other one while I'm over here. Again, my rectangle frame tool. File, Place, then Fitting, fill frame proportionally. Perfect. And I'm going to draw my first text box, which is going to be for my healthy snacking, that headline. And I'll open up that Word document. And I'll grab healthy snacking, paste that in, and I want to go to my header 1, I believe, or maybe it's a header 2. Yep, that one's a header 2. But I also need it to be centered. So I'm just going to manually center that and bring that down. And I'm going to make sure it's just centered right in my columns. Even though it looks a little bit off, it's fine. And then all right, this one's going to be a little bit weird. We're going to have 3 text boxes here that are going to be linked. So let's do this. We can do this. We can do 3 linking text boxes. We just did 4 over here. And again, this kind of shows you, you know, these ones were all in a row. We're going to draw a text box right here, a text box right here, and a text box right here. And we're going to link them so it flows from this one to this one to this one. And again, this is why it's so cool that you can do this. Zoom in a little. Draw the first one. Draw the second one. And you'll notice I don't have them lined up right up against the edge, because I'm giving a little bit of a buffer between the edge of that rectangle that I drew and where my text box is starting. And I'm going to show you another little trick here. So I'm going to move this one way over here. And then I'm going to select both of them, this one and this one. And then I'm going to use my align tool to make sure that they're lined up with each other. And then for this one, draw that text box. And you'll notice that bullet point is kind of out here. So you might need to finagle a little bit with this text box. We'll see how it goes. All right, so next up, I'm going to grab this entire article. And you'll notice they have bullet points here, but in Word, it's a numbered list. So I want to get rid of that numbered list. So I'm going to select this in Word, and just where it says the numbers, I'm just going to unclick the numbering and get rid of that numbered list, because we're going to use our bullet points there. Copy that. Paste it in here. Uh-oh. All right, I was gonna say, what happened here? Don't say that that's happening again. So I have my first one, and I have that red square. So I'm gonna click on the text box, click on the red square, click into this text box. I get the red square again. I'm gonna click from this text box, from the red square, and click into this text box. Perfect. And I think I have an extra return I need to get rid of to bring popcorn up to that line. I do. All right, so my first paragraph has a drop cap. So I want to change that to drop cap. And then these, the rest of it, is bullet points. So I'm going to select that and change that to bullet points. Like I said, this one I figured I'd have to adjust it a little bit. So let me close that up just a little bit. Whoops. Until that bullet point's where it belongs. And everything is lined up. It looks right. Perfect. Save that. And now I'm going to go into my layers. I'm going to turn that background color layer back on. And I'm going to turn off my originals layer. And I want to look everything over. Now I want to make sure that nothing, I don't have any random, red square somewhere where text isn't where it's supposed to be or anything like that. I'll make sure that's close to where it needs to be. Double check that nothing went weird on page 1 when I copied and pasted everything over. Double check that nothing went weird on page 4 when I copied and pasted everything over, right? Weird things were happening everywhere today. I'll save it again. And then I need to package this again. Even though I packaged it last week and I'm just working out of that original file, I need it packaged and ready to go for this week. So I'm going to do a file, package, double check that there's not anything going wrong. You can click show problems only. So if something shows up, it'll only show it up as a problem. Colors and inks, you want to make sure you don't have any RGB inks. Don't worry so much about print settings or external plugins. And then we're going to hit package. And go over to week 4. And make sure it's, make sure you have the correct naming convention. DES 105, assignment 4, S. McNamara. I want to include a PDF file. It does not need to be the one with my crop and bleed marks because I don't have a bleed set up in this document. That was another thing that I saw. Some people have bleed set up and you don't want a bleed set up. So I'll show you how to fix that. So you can just change it to high quality. and click the package button. Click OK. And let's say that by accident you had this set up with the bleed. Let me add one real quick. The way you can tell is if you had your red outlines here. And you may be saying to yourself, but what does that really matter? It does matter. Do all boxes need to be checked? No, not all the boxes, because you're not doing crop and bleed marks. So you don't need to do that. You can just use that preset, the high quality print preset, exactly as it exists for this one, and that'll be fine. And if any, no problem. Hold on one second. I'm just going to type real quick in the chat. There we go. Sorry, I just noticed another question in the chat. All right. So let's say that you accidentally have this set up with the bleed marks. All is not lost. If your document is not set up correctly, all you have to do is go up into File and go to Document Setup, and it's going to open up this dialog box. So let's say that you didn't check facing pages by accident. You would just click it right here and then hit OK. Let's say that you accidentally have a bleed. That's fine. We can zero that bleed out and then just hit OK. If your margins are incorrect, you can fix it right in here and then hit OK. And it's going to fix the whole document for you. So, you know, don't feel discouraged if something went wrong when you set up your document, and save it. If you don't have your master pages, let's say that you accidentally put your folio on page 1. You didn't put it on your master page where it goes. I'm just going to do something. They changed the quick key for this, for what I want to do, of course. Edit. All right, there we go. All right. Let's say, I'm like, where it used to be able to just click it, right click, apparently not. So if you didn't set up, let's say you didn't set up the master page by accident. You put your folio and your student matters on page 1 instead of on the master page. What you can do is select it. Make sure you're just selecting the line, which if you, there we go, the line, this text box, hold down Shift, and this text box, do Command X. So take it off this page completely, go to your pages, go over to the master page, and then you would right click and do a paste in place and put it on the master page. That's how you would fix that. I need to just put that back on page 1. And then it will show up on the pages it's supposed to show up on. Let's see, anything else that could have gone wrong in your file? If you didn't link your text boxes to begin with, the easiest way to fix that would be this one's linked, so it's going to look a little bit different. You can grab all of the text in this text box, hit Command X, and you would hit enter here, or just move your cursor to the side of schedule. You might have to add a space in. whatever the last word was, hit, paste, and then do the same thing when you get that red X box here, click and drag it over to this text box, and that'll link it. So that's another way that you can fix this. On page 4, you should not have, right, you're right, because I added it back in. You should not have, the master should not be applied to page 4 with the folio. When I fixed everything, I forgot to take it off. So right in pages, right click, and what you want to do is you want to override all master page items, and then you can manually delete that off of page 4. Thank you for pointing that out for me. And it's probably in my PDF incorrectly because I don't think I noticed it before I packaged this. Let's take a look. And I did not. All right, so I don't need to, if something goes wrong and you know something is wrong in your PDF file, you don't need to repackage everything. Thanks for pointing that out. All you have to do is save your InDesign file again and make a new PDF. So again, File, Adobe PDF Presets, go to High Quality Print. Just make sure you make that PDF into this folder, hit Save and Replace. And then just in case, do a file save as, because you might be working, yeah, you might be working out of the different file. Do a file save as and save it into assignment 4, the folder that you packaged, just in case. Because you're working, even though you packaged it, you're still working in the original file. I know that seems weird. So if you catch something afterwards, just make sure that you fix it in both places. You should be concerned about the IDML file, but I'm not going to be concerned about the IDML file. Yes, all of the words except for the headlines need to align to the baseline grid. Everything, your style sheet tells you what the style sheet settings doc file tells you what doesn't align to the baseline grid. So the only things that don't align to the baseline grid are these 3 headers. The rest of it aligns to the baseline grid. And don't save. I don't know what I did there. And don't save. All right. And again, before you submit it, just double check everything one more time. Open it up. You might even want to, what happened here? All right. Whew. You might even want to open up the original as well and kind of do like a quick side-by-side comparison. So here's the original, mine. And it's okay. Again, you're going to see subtle differences just because, you don't know. There's so many different versions, like I was saying, of Helvetica out there and Times out there that you're just going to see little subtle versions, but differences. But again, just kind of make sure that it looks like you have it set up correctly. Go to page 2 next, do the same thing. You just want to make sure you haven't left anything out. Kind of go back and forth. You'll usually see if, something big is missing. Like if I was missing an image, I would notice that. And go to page 3. Again, whoops. Kind of go back and forth, make sure everything looks like it's all there. And page 4. Good. You can close that out, close both of them out. And then again, you're going to want to zip it. So select it, right click or control click and go down to compress. Remember, make sure, some people are still having trouble making those zip files. You need to compress it. Sure, I can, name this folder .zip and add an extension, or let me, and it looks like a zip file. I mean, it's not really a zip file. And then I can upload it because, Canvas is going to think it's a zip file, but it's not really a zip file. And it's not going to open when I download it from you. So you need to make sure that you're right-clicking on it or control-clicking and going to compress and making that zip file that way. Then you'll want to upload it to submit assignment. And again, anything goes wrong, try to get in with the Student Success Center. If you can't make it to the multi-session tomorrow, please get into the Student Success Center this week. Don't wait, no offense, but don't email me Friday night and tell me that you can't figure this out. That's really late. It's Friday of week 4. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be rude, but procrastination when you're learning a program is not your friend. Waiting until the last minute to try to get all of your work done and submitting everything at the last minute, you're not doing your best work. So, please don't do that. Please, try your best. I understand people have jobs, people have families, people have kids. I can't even tell you how much I get it because I work full-time for independence. I work part-time for a high school, and I have a 1-year-old and I'm enrolled in the MBA program. So when I tell you that I get being super busy and trying to fit this in, I really get it. I have a lot on my plate too. And the thing that I've noticed, I've been doing this for a long time, is I need to set a schedule and I need to be strict with myself. I try to get things done at the beginning of the week because no matter what do they say about best laid plans? All best laid plans just kind of go out the window from time to time. I have problems from time to time with childcare where at the last minute somebody might not be able to watch my daughter and I have to scramble to get things done. So, I don't like to wait until the last minute. Last week was a prime example of this. I usually have my work done by Wednesday or Thursday. My papers that I need written, I have them done and submitted for my MBA program by Wednesday. And things happened last week where, that couldn't happen. And for the first time in 12 mods, I was up at 9 o'clock on a Saturday night writing a 1,250 word paper on accounting. But imagine if I had waited until Saturday to do both of my papers and that happened, so please just don't wait. Things happen and then you're out of time. So, that's why I try to push this. You really need time management with graphic design, especially when we're learning things. I mean, you saw it took me 30 minutes to figure out that problem with my file, and I had to rebuild my entire file. I've been working in InDesign since InDesign existed. And, it still took me a good chunk of our live session to fix my file. So, and I know how to troubleshoot this because I've been in the program for a long time. So I just don't want to see these sorts of things happen to you guys. So that's why I'm always pushing that. Please don't wait. Please don't wait. Please don't wait. And, other instructors are stricter with deadlines. I feel, I'm trying my best to give you guys as much time as possible to get your work in, but there are the school states that you only are allowed an extra week. And there are a lot of instructors who stick by that schedule because, you know what, I keep it open till Friday, but that equals more grading for me. Some instructors don't allow you to resubmit work for a better grade because it's more work on our end. I try my best to you know, be as accommodating as possible because I really want you guys to succeed. But again, you know, I can only take you so far. I gotta make sure that you guys are doing the rest. So, you know, that's my little tidbit of advice for today, for what it's worth. But do we have any questions before we end today? And if not, if you think like, you know, something, you know, you want to kind of get back into this today and see if you run into any issues, that's fine. You know, if you do, please make sure that you come to the multi-session tomorrow if you can. And if you can't make it to the multi-session, again, you know, there's some really great tutoring hours in the Student Success Center. Make sure that you're getting in there. Don't struggle alone. There's no need to struggle alone. We have so many resources for you. The table of contents needs to be copied and pasted from the doc file in. All of your verbiage is in the doc file. So you're not typing anything, but you do need to copy and paste everything in from the doc file. You can't place anything from the original PDF that you were given. Everything needs to be recreated in InDesign, but you can copy and paste the text in. Okay, no problem. All right, so anything else? Any other questions? I know we went over a lot today, but we went over a lot of troubleshooting, which I do like as well. Like I said, I always hate when things go awry during a live session, but I kind of like it because I can show you guys, you know, some of my little tips and tricks for fixing crazy things that occur. And that was definitely a crazy thing that occurred. That if I tried, I could never recreate that problem again. Awesome. Good. I'm glad that you guys like the troubleshooting because I mean, sometimes it works and I would have been able to fix the original file, but other times it doesn't work. The dots in the table of contents in between from the word to the page number, those are those tabs. So you're going to have to go in and set up those tabs like you did for the menu. And if you look at the video that I shared in the announcements last week, so you have to go to the announcements, not in the live session tab. If you go to the announcements and you go to the live session and slides from week 3, you can see that second YouTube video down here shows a full demo, again, from a previous class of how to do pages 1 and 4. So again, you know, if you want the slides and if you want older videos that I might share that I've referenced, we're only allowed as instructors to put just the live session videos into the live session tab. It has to do with our accrediting. So we can kind of use the announcements to share other things with you. So that's why it ends up being set up that way. All right, well, thank you to everybody who was able to make it today. And I feel like we've had like some pretty full live sessions this mod, which is awesome. So much better than just sitting here talking to myself for 2 hours. So thank you guys for coming. And again, any questions or concerns, come to the multi-session tomorrow, email me early, and I definitely look forward to seeing your finished newsletters. This is something that you will do as graphic designers, so it's, again, one of those really great projects that you do. And awesome. All right, well, I hope everybody has a great day, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.